Natural law theory, the theory that God wants us to want good things, primarily based on religion. The natural law is derived from the basic goods. The basic goods: life, reproduction, educate, seek God, live in society, avoid offense, shun ignorance. Number 1. Life. The natural instinct to save your life without having to think about it. Number 2. Reproduction. The want to create more life and the drive to reproduce. As humans, we have a primitive instinct to reproduce. We have hormones that control this need and ideas that control attraction. We are told about this drive from as young as 10 and begin to understand it as we reach maturity and puberty. We get ideas put in our heads by peers, and peer pressure turns us to illegal substances that aid some of our actions. 3. Educate one's offspring. To teach offspring the basic needs to survive. To give offspring the knowledge that you hold is to aid them in survival, and this has applied through many centuries, as every generation will need basic skills and morals in order to adapt to the environment that surrounds them. 4. Seek God. The desire to seek God, whether you believe in it or not. We are all born with a God-shaped hole inside of us, says Jean-Paul Sartre. This is not applied to everyone, as some people do not believe in God or a higher power, and don't feel the God-shaped hole inside of them. 5. Live in society. Live in society. Humans have a natural instinct to live and interact with one another. We have a desire to love and be accepted. An example is peer pressure. We as humans feel as though we need to do certain things in order to prove ourselves and to be accepted by certain people. As a result, we find ourselves doing things out of our comfort zone in order to prove ourselves, in the hope of being accepted. We do this because we have a natural desire for acceptance. 6. Avoid offense. Feel guilt when you offend the group that causes them to turn against you. 7. Shun ignorance. Natural knowers, inquisitive and always want to be right. Knowledge promotes survival. Ignorance promotes death. For each negative law or prohibition, there is a positive injunction. This table shows that for every prohibition, there is a positive injunction. For example, the first row, the prohibition is do not kill, because if you do, it violates the natural law of life. The positive injunction of the prohibition is to promote life, and that is the following the law. The next example is don't prevent reproduction, otherwise you are violating the law of reproduction, and instead you should procreate. And the positive injunction. The table is basically saying that the prohibition is that because of the basic goods, and instead you should be doing the positive injunction of it. Why do people violate the natural law if we constantly seek God? The reason people always break it is because of the idea of good is different to God's idea of good. Everyone has an idea of what they think is good. Emotion can also overrule their beliefs, as well as our survival instinct. We do whatever we can to survive, and sometimes that will go against the natural law theory. Real life example: abortion. Abortion is not an example of natural law, but instead an example of how people break natural law. Natural law and abortion are on completely different sides to one another. People believe that if they are carrying the baby, it is their choice and their body to decide if they want an abortion. Natural law belief means that everyone has the right to life. Another example, which does not follow natural law, is education. Every child has the right to education through a parent or school, meaning every student and kid. They must know the basic needs of life to survive and live. This follows natural law. These two are an example of how people break the natural law and how you can follow it.